New JCS video. Okay, I don't know why this has a red bar. I haven't seen this, I promise. Was it called Yeardley's ex-boyfriend?
Alright. Did you say you did want water, didn't you?
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, grab me some water real quick. I gotta get some stuff over here. That's my card. I know I introduced myself to you at your house, but my name is Lisa Reeves, okay? And I am a detective here at the Charlottesville Police Department.
Okay.
So before I want to talk to you, I want to make sure you do understand your rights, okay? And that way I can explain to you what's going on.
This could be a missing persons case.
You understand that? Okay. Today's date is
About a girlfriend missing.
3rd, 2010. The current time is... All right, your first name is George?
Yes.
G-E-O-R.
I didn't. There's no way I didn't do it. No way.
Wow, 1 hour into it, they already got him.
Why did you guys come in and say you were searching for an assault?
I never said anything about an assault.
Someone came in this
I
morning.
never mentioned to you anything. Just told you we're investigating something. Wanted to know.
Investigating this.
Do you want me to call anybody for you, George?
It's an interesting concept to think of how you might respond to what would normally be an easy question, especially during a circumstance where it becomes a terrifying dilemma. We ask that you contemplate this question while you put yourself in George's position, but not before you grasp the context of what brought him to this moment. It begins with 22-year-old sports scholar Yeardley Love, a star lacrosse player at the University of Virginia. She is captured in this photograph playing in the second-to-last game of the season, clearly aware of the obstacles that lie in front of her, yet continuing to move forward, which is the circumstantial detail that turned this picture into a symbol for the globally recognized organization that would be founded in her memory. This would be the last photograph taken that day, capturing Yeardley's last embrace with her head coach Julie Myers. Both were unaware this exact moment would soon be on the national front pages. On May 3, 2010, at roughly 2:15 a.m., Yeardley's roommate returned from a night out to their off-campus apartment. Upon entering, she saw that Yeardley's bedroom had been broken into, at which point she rushed inside to find her unresponsive on the mattress.
Oh no.
She had blood coming out of her nose and severe bruising across the right side of her face. But the most alarming thing was that she wasn't waking up. Her friend called 911, who instantly guided her through the steps of CPR, which was then taken over by paramedics who arrived on the scene 4 minutes later. But their attempts at revival were unsuccessful, and Yeardley was pronounced dead at exactly 2:47 a.m. At 2:53 that same morning, criminal investigator Lisa Reeves woke up to a phone call from the sheriff's office. By 2:59, she had arrived at Yeardley's apartment leading the investigation, and by 3:50, confirmed that she had her first person of interest, which was 22-year-old George Yeardley V, Yeardley's ex-boyfriend, and the next several hours were spent gathering information before she knocked at his front door. She found out that George was a fifth-generation heir to a very wealthy American family whose roots lay in lumber dating back to the 1900s. He was educated at Landon Prep, a prestigious all-boys private school in Bethesda, Maryland, with annual tuition fees of up to $50,000. George was the star player of the lacrosse team and became an All-American athlete. This led to a full scholarship at the University of Virginia, where he remained a key player in the starting lineup, and where he would also meet, then spark a romance with fellow lacrosse player Yeardley Love. They dated for almost 2 years.
Yeardley and Love's relationship was an on-again, off-again one, where they cheated on each other throughout, and that tempers flared.
Where they cheated on each other? Oh no, dude.
Both ways.
Oh my god. On again, off again relationship where they cheat on each other. Oh my god, dude.
They dated for almost 2 years.
Yeardley and Love's relationship was an on-again, off-again one, where they cheated on each other throughout, and that tempers flared both ways.
What was going on with these two young people? What may have led someone to do what happened? These are just a completely unbelievable set of facts.
Everybody watched the relationship. People were really troubled by it. They were scared for her. Nobody knew what to do.
Yeardley ended the relationship in 2010, just 2 weeks before graduation. 9 days later, she was found dead in her bedroom. And that same morning, George Yeardley would hear a knock at his front door. He opened to Detective Lisa Reeves, who was dressed in civilian clothing. She introduced herself as a police officer, but mentioned nothing of the crime. She simply stated that she was conducting an investigation that could benefit from his presence at the sheriff's office. George's response was to lethargically put on his flip-flops, then walk over to the passenger side door of her unmarked police car and let himself in. Somewhat bewildered, Lisa got in and drove them to the police station a few minutes away.
She's like, holy shit, this guy, he's turning himself, he's coming along with me.
It was around then when she noticed bruising on his knuckles and cuts on his forearm, at which point George was no longer a person of interest. He was the prime suspect.
Yeah, no shit, man. What the hell? Lawyer up, my guy. I mean, I'm not trying to defend him or anything, but these people never lawyer up.
I know I introduced myself to you at your house, but my name is Lisa Reeves. Today's date is May the 3rd, 2010. The current time is, I can't tell on that one, 7:52, okay?
My drama papers too.
What's that?
My drama's papers too, right now.
All right, your first name is George?
Yes.
Right away, you'll come to notice that George is oblivious to the gravity of his situation, and it would be very safe to assume that he at this moment is unaware that Yeardley has died. He seems to believe that he's in as much trouble as he would be sitting in a principal's office, perhaps for getting in a fight at class or on the lacrosse field, and the sooner he provides a sanitized version of the truth, the sooner he'll get to go home. This, of course, ties in perfectly with the interrogator's opening strategy, which we've labeled warmth for the sake of this video. She will downplay the severity of his situation to a considerable degree, while maintaining a friendly temperament with a sympathetic undertone. She needs the
I mean, that's just classic procedure, is to try, first off, be friendly with them, make them drop their guard, and then
suspect to feel
and then start
safe and secure for the time being. As the less cautious he is, the more information he's likely to give away. Then as soon as he locks himself into one particular storyline, the pressure can commence, which often leads to a suspect being laden with panic and contradictions.
Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer before questioning and have one present during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be provided for you. And if you're willing to talk to us now, you have the right to stop talking anytime.
Boom,
George
dude,
has two options here. Option one is to remain silent, then allow his father to get him the most expensive attorneys in the country.
There you go.
He would then have years to examine the evidence, evaluate the many options available, and then construct the most
I forgot this guy was rich too. Like, oh my god, man.
Preserving storyline with world-renowned experts in criminal defense before they present it to a jury.
Could have hired
Unfortunately
a
for George,
lawyer.
He takes option 2. But before he does, rewatch the flawlessly reassuring manner in which he's given the final piece of the Miranda warning.
And if you're willing to talk to us now, you have the right to stop talking anytime. Got it?
Yep.
Awesome. Just need your signature there, that you understand your rights and are willing to talk to us. And the time now is 7:53.
It's just these people have egos that they think they can talk their way out of shit. This guy is some rich preppy kid, probably gotten away with a ton of shit in his life. Thinks he can get away with this too.
Let's kind of start. I'm going to kind of ask you some questions, and like I said, we'll explain things a little bit later. Tell me about your day yesterday.
Played golf with our parents. It was a father-son. Good event. I went to dinner with my dad and my two buddies, and then went to the bar for a little while. Then I went over to talk to Yeardley.
He has such a bro voice. Went over to the bar yesterday. We got shit face from my buds.
Who's Yeardley?
Yeardley? What is
Yeardley.
my former girlfriend.
Okay.
This whole thing's about, which I understand, but
George has now initiated the investigative subject matter himself. It's the perfect opening scenario for the interrogator because she's given nothing away, making it more likely for him to reveal details that will contradict the evidence.
When I went over to talk to Yeardley, I was like, Yeardley, and she was already totally freaked out because of what she did this past a few days ago, and we haven't talked since, and I was just going to go talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yardley slept with another lacrosse player from North Carolina the week before, which is what he just referred to.
And she was already freaking out.
This fucking guy, dude.
Can't go what you're doing. And I was I'm just trying to talk to you.
The investigation team obviously had no way of knowing this, and George has now confessed to the crime of second-degree trespass.
This guy sounds like a fucking dumbass.
He's just confessed to initiating the supposed confrontation. He now can't say that he was somehow tricked or misled into that situation. He knowingly stepped into it, and the critical fact he can actually recognize and remember this will be used against him repeatedly in the future.
And like, she like started being like getting like all like, you know, like really like defensive. She was already like on the defensive edge, and like I was like, listen, I'm not here to like, I'm just here to talk to you. And she like got all like sat up, like her bed's against the wall, like if it was in this corner, she was like up against the wall, and I was like we were sitting there talking, and like she started being like you know, like getting like all like aggressive.
Oh my god, dude, fucking take a shot every time he says like, you'll be dead within 5 minutes. JCS should have put like a light counter.
After
that would have been
so I was like, all right, like
gold.
chill out, like, and shook her a little bit.
So just to recount what George said over the last 47 seconds, Yeardley was defensive. While being in a defensive state, she backed up against the wall. She then became aggressive. George's response to this supposed aggression was to initiate physical contact.
She started being like freaking out, and I was like, listen, I'm not like here to do anything. I'm here to talk to you about everything that's ensued in the past week. And she was like, and like sort of like being like, no, like hitting her head, like stop, like she was in the corner, I was sitting on the bed, I was like, stop.
Oh my god, this guy is so fucking dumb.
What the hell, like we were just gonna talk.
So let's go back half a minute and dissect what actually just happened there.
And so I was like, all right, like chill out, like, and shook her a little bit.
Oh my god.
He will now say the words, and she started being like, then simultaneously mimic a body colliding with the wall. He will then stop himself mid-thought and subtly modify the detail.
And she started being like freaking out, and I was like, listen. And she started being like freaking out.
He goes from illustrating Yeardley hitting the wall to, as he states, freaking out. He seems to realize mid-sentence this isn't the best way to explain her injuries, so he changes the detail to buy himself time.
And she started being like freaking out, and I was like, listen, I'm not like here to do anything. I'm here to talk to you.
He carefully shifts the topic from Yeardley to himself, and keeps it there for 8 seconds before attempting to re-explain what occurred in a more self-preserving manner.
And she was like, and like sort of like being like, no, like hitting her head, like.
No jury on the planet will believe that Yeardley was voluntarily slamming her head against the wall with enough force to cause fatal brain damage.
Yeah, that's...
All George has done here is give away the fact that he knows Yeardley has sustained some type of head injury, and now lied on record about how it was inflicted.
I was like, Yeardley, like, what the hell, like, we were just gonna talk, and like, it was not at all like a good conversation, because that's like, she was already like freaking out with just even seeing me. Just even seeing me there.
Okay. What happened next?
What happened next? And she just kept hitting her head against the wall while she was sitting on the bed. And I was like, I grabbed her and I like shook her. I was like, stop! Like we need to like, and looked at her. I was like, we need to like talk about this. And like, I mean, I was on holding her arms and stuff, but like I never struck her. I never like hit her like in the face or anything.
Oh my god, dude, this guy is just
so like, she was so like, oh, I mean, what's the word? Like, you know, like flopping a fish out of the water, like so like all this. And I was like, listen, like I'm not here to like fight with you or like do anything. Like here to talk to you. And like, and she's like, no, like get away from me. You have to leave, you have to leave, like all this stuff. And I was like, all right, like fine, like, but like I want to talk to you after all this. And like I was like a little bit persistent because of the situation. You know, my former girlfriend who like something happened last week, you know, and I was like, all right, like, well, so we were like talking over there, and I mean, somehow we ended up, somehow I was resting her on the floor, and I was just like, stop, I just like, and I was holding her.
I was holding her. I was a little bit persistent. I was wrestling her on the floor. All further evidence that designates George as the aggressor. He's completely shut down his ability to argue any sort of self-defense claim.
And then the conversation, I could tell, was just like, it was not going anywhere and nothing was happening. And she like went back to bed and I left. And I went back home.
All right.
Phase 1 is now complete. The suspect has unknowingly locked himself into a storyline that will put him away for a very long time. The risk of him shutting down or requesting a lawyer is no longer a primary concern. So the interrogator will now increase the pressure. She will confront him on certain elements that she pretended to overlook before. And the ideal scenario is to cause just enough panic so that he backpedals on previous statements and contradicts himself.
All right, so you go over there.
Start questioning shit.
Her front door was open. Her room door was closed. I knocked like Yeardley, like she heard me open the door and went in.
All right. Went in where?
To her room.
All right, straight to her bedroom?
Straight to her bedroom, yeah. I mean.
How'd you get through the door?
Her door or the front door?
Her door.
Actually, it might have been locked.
It was.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Just be honest with me.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was locked, yeah. Because I think I put a hole.
Yeah, you punched a hole.
Yeah, you
Pretty sure actually now. Yeah, that I used to have that, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it seems like something you would remember.
Well, I guess, yeah, once I was in her room, she was like very like, you know, like, Harley, I'm not, like, I don't want to talk to you, like, all this stuff. And she was very like, you know, very on edge, like, I don't want to talk, like, I don't want to talk, like, you know.
Okay.
I was like, listen, like, what you pulled last week was outrageous. Like, I just want to talk to you.
Why'd you punch the door then?
A very unusual time to interrupt a suspect in such a contentious manner. He was giving away self-incriminating information that could be used to establish a motive. He was doing exactly what the lead investigator wanted. But Detective Ed has now stopped him in his tracks. It's a reckless maneuver at this point in the interrogation, which Detective Reeves is no doubt conveying at this moment through nonverbal communication. She now has to let the suspect respond as to not
let him cook, man. Let him cook.
Mind their position.
Because I want to talk to her.
Detective Reeves will now bring his guard back down through a reassuring tone and gently guide his train of thought back to his grievances with the victim. She pulls this off in 3 questions.
All right, well, continue on. That's fine, continue on. So you're talking to her and she doesn't want to talk to you?
Not really. I mean, we talked though. Like, there was parts where we were talking and then like.
Do you know what you're talking about?
I mean, about so many different things.
Okay. Like what?
Yeah, the detective is very, she knows what she's doing. Like, the way she's sitting, the tone of her voice, the way she's asking these questions it's all meticulously planned to try and to keep letting him cook and, you know, further incriminate himself and shit like that.
What she did last week.
The good cop.
Like, went to, like, Carolina. She went to Carolina and hooked up with someone Sunday when we were still trying to figure out things. And I was over there, like to talk, like, I was like, this is outrageous. Because I was trying to make everything better, and then, like, you know, she was very defensive because she knew, like, how upset I was, because I've told her, like, through emails, like, how upset I was, like, about what she did. And so I was like, and I sat on the edge of it, I was like, listen, like, I want to talk to you, like, what you did was bullshit, like, that's not, like, okay. And I was just like, and
oh
she's like,
yeah, dude, listening to this guy just ramble on.
Like, you know, she's like, you know, sort of.
Like, usually there's a lot of dumbasses in these JCS videos. Pretty much every single one of them that's being, like, interrogated is, you know, fucking dumbass in some way. But the way this guy speaks is just, like, on another fucking level,
pushing
man.
Everything that she did to the back burner and, like, talking about, like, you know, like trying to, like, put everything that she did, like, wasn't important. It kept going to the point where she, like, I was like, listen, like, we have to figure, like, out what's going on. And she was like, I'm not talking to you. And then she like pushed me, like, get out of here, like go. And I was like, no. And like I was like, be like, we have to talk, like, so like, can't like.
When you're doing that, what do you hold on her?
On her arms.
On her arms, like maybe up here.
Like shoulders, yeah.
Shoulders.
Like be like come on, like, you know.
Then do this motion.
That's when she was like,
I'll like, what the fuck is?
Like, get away and like, you know, like hide in the, get in the.
He's kind of agreeing with whatever the detective is kind of giving him.
Like defensively almost. And then she ended. I think she was back in bed, and I left. I was like, this is not going anywhere.
How did she get back in bed?
We were like wrestling, and we stood up, and I tossed her, I pushed her onto the bed. I was like, go to bed, like, I'll talk to you later.
Did you touch her neck area at all? Did you choke her at one point?
I may have grabbed her a little bit by the neck.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I never, like, strangled her.
Okay.
But I mean, during the whole, like, commotion, you know, like.
Come on, dude. You have to know this sounds like such bullshit, dude.
I was like strangling her.
Okay.
More detail that was unknown to the investigation. The fact that he grabbed her neck can now be used as evidence. It paints a more frightening picture of the incident with relation to the suspect's aggression toward the victim. This was an extremely damaging revelation for George's defense. The discussion moves to the moment he left, and George admits that he took Yeardley's laptop.
Why'd you grab her laptop?
Because I was so pissed that she wouldn't talk to me. I was like, I don't know. I like took it almost as like collateral, I guess. I don't know. It's not reasonable logic.
Trophy for the kill.
Right. Okay.
I don't know.
Did you take anything else besides your laptop?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay.
I mean.
All right. So when you left out of there, I mean, you saw that she was bleeding on her nose.
She's now about to ask a question with the same implication for a second time. Notice what occurred the first time.
Did you go back and check on her at any point?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you try to call rescue or anything, make sure she's all right?
No, I did not.
No. Why?
The face of bewilderment, if there ever was one. It's very strange that he's so taken aback by such a question, especially when you take into account the possible outcome if he had actually called for help.
One medical expert revealed in the courtroom for the very first time that following Yeardley Love's brutal beating, had George Hughley or anyone else called for help, she might have survived.
I didn't think it was like, I didn't think that she was like in need of like going to the emergency room. She just got, I mean, like.
What do you think that?
I don't know. I mean,
Did you say when you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you were shaking her, her head was hitting the wall?
Halfway.
Well, that was in the beginning. That was
30 minutes. 30 more minutes. He's
gonna.
gonna.
Like,
Oh
like,
man.
The corner, get out of here, like, you know, like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
At any time when you were shaking her, did her head bang the wall?
Put yourself in George's position and imagine Yeardley had in fact self-inflicted her injuries. You would perhaps say something along the lines of,
no,
absolutely not.
No. I wasn't hitting her against the wall, but like when she's like sitting there in the corner of like, if it were like this, and I'm like, Yeardley, like, you know, and I was like what the fuck was that about? Like that's such bullshit that you like do that. Like that's such a like bullshit move. Like what like, you know, like everyone like hitting her, like, what are you like doing? Like that. Like
she has a pretty good knot on her head. That's why I'm asking how you can explain how that would have happened.
I mean, I don't even know when that a knot. I mean.
Like on the side of her head, she's been hit pretty good right there. So I'm just trying to figure out, did you hit her with something?
No.
Was that
no,
her head into the wall?
never touched her or struck her or anything.
Well, you touched her. You had your hands on her.
I said never struck her.
Okay. So I'm gonna go through this one more time, make sure we're on the same page. So you're pretty pissed at her from a week ago for sending you text messages. Do you have those text messages where she says she, as you put it, fucked somebody?
I actually might have those, yeah.
All right, you got your phone with you?
Yeah.
And let's pull it out and scroll through it. Let's see if we can see those.
The next moment is fascinating because it symbolizes how drastically George's life is about to change. The interrogator will invade his personal space to make sure he's not deleting anything from his phone. Soon after that, she will take the phone out of his hand and place it on the table. Actions that would be completely unacceptable in almost any other circumstance.
We didn't say
They were like, I guess what you call like an ongoing conversation, an ongoing like instant message.
What, through Snapchat? I mean, I think Snapchat's the only one that automatically deletes messages, right?
Let's talk about how you actually entered. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
because to put your fist through the door.
no, it's actually my leg. I'm pretty sure.
Your leg?
Because that's why my leg's like this.
Yeah, you're right. That was your leg.
Yeah.
How'd you get all the bruising on your hand then?
This is all from lacrosse. This is all.
That's pretty fresh right there. Looks.
This is all from my lacrosse game on Saturday.
On
I
Saturday.
mean, I wear my arm. You can see where my arm pads are.
Mm-hmm.
Right here, and my gloves right here, and that's.
Even right there, I thought you wore those padded gloves.
This is
lacrosse.
This is all the difference. This is all from lacrosse.
I mean, that seems like a
And I got whacked here. I remember.
a fair excuse, I guess.
100% got whacked during the game when I was trying to kill the clock.
Mm-hmm. When you had her and you're shaking her, did she scratch you anywhere?
No.
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 She's a little girl. She's tiny.
Yeah, she did not. No, she didn't. She didn't
She didn't
scratch
try
me.
to hit you or anything like that.
No.
Okay. So you kick in the door.
Yeah,
Go in.
that's how I got. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I stuck my hand through and unlocked it, and went in there, and
Okay.
everything else I told you.
Probably shouldn't call
detectives
911
leave
at
the
that
room
point or
for roughly
something.
3 minutes. When they return, it appears Ed is given the chance to lead with a few of his own questions.
I know we touched about what happened last night, but set it up for me, lead it up to me a little bit here. Why did you guys break up exactly? Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, we are not from the same area.
Right.
And she wants me to New York, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing yet, but I'd like to move to San Francisco.
Why'd you take her computer?
I don't know. I have no idea.
There's maybe because there's evidence on the computer, emails that you sent?
No, there's no, I mean...
Here's the fear part. Here's the part where we start. Well, Ed boy over here, detective, Egg. He's gonna start applying the pressure. Start getting his mind racing. Like, oh shit.
You can read all the emails and everything back and forth.
Detective Ed now asks George if he held
Gonna
Yeardley
start getting
down on
juicy.
the bed. He's trying to subtly set the grounds for an argument of smothering, which isn't a terrible idea, but would be disproven by the autopsy regardless.
No.
Did you fall down on top of her? You know, rest on
We
the
were
ground?
wrestling on the ground for like a little
Did
bit.
y'all wrestle on the bed at all?
No, I never I shook her.
No, I mean like just kind of hold her down until she calmed down on the bed.
No, if anything that.
I mean,
if anything that would have been like on the floor. When we were on the floor, when her nose started bleeding, we were like wrestling around, and that's when her nose started bleeding.
Was it pretty noisy when you all were wrestling around?
No, I mean.
Was she screaming?
No, she was not screaming, actually.
I mean, if I'm cracking my head in the wall, I'm gonna be saying, "Ow!"
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, she was not screaming.
Yeah.
She should have been, probably. I mean, maybe.
Yeah.
She should have been, probably. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Why do you think she should have?
I don't know. I mean, well, she was screaming when I first came into the room. She was like, "No, I'm not talking to you. Get the fuck out of here," all that. But
At any point before you said you and this was your words, you said you tossed her on the bed and then you left.
Yeah.
All right. At any point before that, did she lose consciousness?
No.
Okay. What happened after you tossed her on the bed? Did she move? Talk about, say something?
I mean, I literally tossed her on the bed and turned around and...
Tossed her on the ground or tossed her on the bed?
And
Tossed her on the
walked
bed.
out the door.
Okay. So when you tossed her back on the bed, in your mind, she was bleeding? But you said she was bleeding out her nose, and you didn't feel like you needed to call rescue?
No.
After that, after banging her head and
No,
Shaking her and blood coming out her nose on the floor?
No. There's nothing about like.
You missed anything that no one asking right now?
There's nothing about like going to get anything or going. You know, I don't know. I took the computer.
George
I don't know why
there was no reason for taking the laptop for another 20 seconds, during which time Detective Reeves decides that enough information has been attained. Phase 2 is now complete,
oh boy.
and the fate of Yeardley is about to be revealed. These moments in interrogations are considered important for the purpose of gauging a suspect's response. It's believed that a sharp and sudden revelation can make it difficult to fabricate emotion. So in theory, this will cause a suspect to provide either a genuine response or a relatively obvious disingenuous response, which often comes in the pretense of shock or remorse.
I mean, I guess that's where my logic was at, but which is...
Well, I have to tell you something.
I think I know why you took the computer.
In the midst of what would have been a flawlessly executed moment, Detective
Fucking
Ed jumps
dude.
back.
Fucking Ed. Let him cook, Ed. Let him cook.
Into the laptop mystery. The suspect has essentially confessed to murder. This really wasn't the time for regurgitated conjecture over a petty theft misdemeanor, which Ed was clearly being advised of once again through nonverbal communication.
Why do you think?
You all right?
Go ahead.
No?
Yeah.
He's dead. You killed her, George. You killed her.
She's dead?
I think you knew that already.
No, I did not.
In our opinion, George is being truthful here, and we believe the interrogator feels the same way in this moment.
Is he being truthful? Oh, man, I don't know, actually. Maybe. No. Wait, maybe? Oh, actually, now that JCS brings it up, I actually don't know. Yeah, he might have just, like, beat the shit out of her and then left, assuming that she was still alive. Because if he thought that she was actually dead, he might have just tried to, like, hide the body or something. Yeah, I don't think he would just leave it there. That wouldn't make any sense. And he wouldn't come up with, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
She's dead.
Or maybe, no, I think he did know, because all that, like, rambling about, like, that bullshit story could easily just be, like, disputed by Yeardley if she was still alive, but I don't know. At that point, it's kind of a he said, she said kind of thing, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
How the fuck is she dead?
Because you killed her, George.
How the fuck is she dead?
Because you killed her.
George appears to be going through a delayed response. It's so foreign a revelation that it's yet to sink in. Once the shock settles, he refuses to accept it, and this denial appears to be a momentary coping mechanism before the reality of the situation truly hits him, which will happen at this time in the footage.
Oh my god.
Takes him 22 minutes.
She's dead.
Yes.
She's dead.
She's dead.
How? How?
I already told you how. You already told us how as well.
How is she dead?
You just told us.
Oh my god.
You went in there to talk with her, but it got out of control, right, George?
The detectives will now add further pressure to keep him talking. Suspects will often divulge information in these moments in the panicked attempt to save themselves, and in doing so can shut down a more credible storyline they haven't thought up yet.
The alcohol got a hold of you. You kicked in her door. She started to fight with you. You punched her in the head, or you cracked.
She's not dead.
You cracked her head.
Dead.
You cracked her head in the window or in the wall.
Not dead.
She is.
She's not dead.
I ain't BSing you right now. It's serious.
I want to see her.
Oh my
George,
god.
look at me.
George.
She is dead.
You were not here to dance with us. You're here because she's dead. The alcohol.
I don't believe it. I don't believe
It's
it.
true.
Dude, I didn't. I don't believe that she's dead. I don't believe that she's dead. I don't believe that she's dead.
Did you punch her? Did you hit her?
How? There's no way she's dead. She's not dead. I never did anything. I did not.
All right, let's calm down.
I did not like hurt her. Like she's not dead.
Calm down.
Just out of protocol, what we gotta do is stand up for me, George. Go ahead and put your hands behind your back. Turn.
Relax. It's all right.
Relax. You'll be all right.
Yeah, relax. We're just,
Tell me she's not
arresting
dead.
you
Tell me
for
she's not dead, though, please.
attempted murder. Or murder,
Tell
I
me
guess,
she's
not
not dead.
attempted.
Relax.
Please, will you tell me?
You know what? I wish I could tell you that, George. 22-year-old. 22. And her life is done.
She's not. I did not do anything like that. Oh my God. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. I do not believe it. I do not believe it. There's no way. There's no way she could be dead.
Either the head trauma or asphyxiation.
There was no asphyxiation.
Okay.
So then head trauma. They boom.
God, oh my God. Oh my
You killed her by
God.
beating the shit out of her. Nice.
What was she doing the last time you saw her?
She was like standing up with me. She was standing up with me. She was standing up with me, looking at me.
Was she standing or you were holding her?
Standing up.
Were you holding her up?
She's not dead. I know she's not dead. I know 100 million % she's not dead. I did. She cannot be dead.
I know it got out of hand, George.
No, it did not. It didn't. And she's like, no, like, get away from me. You have to leave, you have to leave. I was like a little bit persistent.
Was she screaming?
She should have been. I didn't kill her and leave. I didn't just, oh my God. I didn't kill her. I did not kill her. I did not kill her. I did not. There's no way I didn't do it. No way. No way.
Fucking rest in piss, dude. Oh, well, now you want a lawyer. What a fucking dumbass, dude.
I don't believe this. What? There's no way. There's no way. There's no fucking way. So, should I talk to someone?
Who do you want to talk to?
Anyone. A lawyer.
One will get appointed to you.
Okay, what do I do now? Go to jail?
Yeah.
All right, George, right now, I know you no longer want to talk to us, that's fine, just let you know something. We're working on a search warrant right now, and what it is we're going to have to collect some stuff from you, like what's called a buccal swab, okay?
See if any of his DNA matches at the crime scene.
Why did you guys come in and say you were searching for an assault?
I never said anything about an assault.
Someone came in this
I
morning.
never mentioned to you anything, just told you we're investigating something.
I'm investigating this.
Do you want me to call anybody for you, George?
Yeah, a
At
lawyer.
the start of this video,
My
you
dad.
were asked to think of what you would do in this situation. Really try and imagine what would be going through your mind in this moment, as you might just gain a restorative outlook from both knowing the answer while not having to answer this particular question. But there is of course no possible way you will gain anything close to the newfound perspective George has acquired in this moment, which unfortunately for him is no longer of use.
Want me to call your dad?
This is, we call it Mom.
Your mom? Is that who you'd like me to call?
Can I talk to her?
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk to her?
I don't know about that.
Uh-oh.
What's your mom's name?
He doesn't get a phone call?
What's her number?
301-96.
Okay.
How?
Did you want me to call your dad? Or just her?
She'll tell her.
Mm-hmm.
She can tell her everything.
Okay.
How?
Is that real? Are those fake? Are those fake? Is he?
I don't believe it. How is she? There's no way she's gonna be dead. There's no way.
Oh my god, this dude is so.
There's no way.
He's so immature.
No way. There's no.
You gotta wait to see in his like his physical actions.
George, go ahead, put your foot down.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
These next few moments are a
Leg
turning point.
shackles.
The leg irons seem to initiate a shift in his constitution, and his denial will completely cease from this point forward. He will continue to ask why and how, but he will no longer reject the severity of what is happening.
Huh. Heck of a day, bud.
Heck of a day, bud. Fucking Ed, dude, this guy.
I ain't here the rest of my life.
I'm sorry?
So am I in here the rest of my life?
In this room?
No, in jail.
In this room? Fucking this guy.
I'm a bad guy, man.
Never said you were, bud.
Call my mom.
I'm sorry?
Call my mom.
No, I know. Yeah, you do want to talk to her. Now's when you need your family the most, bud. You know?
What are you talking? What are you... Oh, well, there you go. Boom. Boom.
George was
there
taken to the regional...
There it is, man. There it is.
George was taken to the regional jail.
All defense
soon
has just
after
been
this
thrown
moment.
out.
He would go on to plead not guilty to murder and was held without bond
Not
for
guilty?
almost 2 years awaiting trial. It began on February 6, 2012.
Well, testimony is now underway in the murder trial of the former UVA lacrosse player accused of killing his ex-girlfriend.
For the first time, we have video of Hughley as he was led into the courtroom.
Contrary to his appearance in the days that followed his arrest for the murder of 22-year-old Yeardley Love, he appeared pale, frail, and gaunt.
The prosecution presented a case that
Yeah, he
Hughley
lost a lot
went
of
to
weight.
Love's apartment that night, busted through her bedroom door, and in some way struck her, causing blunt force trauma, which led to her death.
We've also learned that on that night, George Hughley was exchanging what were described as playful text messages with 3 other women. Those messages continued late into the night and even after the alleged attack.
Throughout this trial, Hughley has sat expressionless, almost stoic at the defense table. All of that changed today. As this police interview was airing, Hughley began crying, was often pinching the bridge of his nose with his hands and looking down as he listened to the sound of his own hysterical voice. I did not kill her. I did not kill her. I did not.
In court Tuesday, Hughley's defense faced an uphill climb.
The most riveting testimony came from former UNC lacrosse player Michael Burns, who testified that one time while visiting UVA, he heard some yelling for help from Hughley's apartment. When he opened the door, he said he found Hughley with his arm wrapped around Love's neck, choking her.
What the
Hughley
hell?
then let her
Oh
go,
my
and she
God.
ran out of the room crying.
A variety of medical experts took the stand this Wednesday, and they all seem to agree that Love's death was the result of blunt force trauma to the head. This was followed by highly distressing witness testimony from Yeardley's neighbors.
The noise was so loud, this was such a violent death that they heard it downstairs, 2 separate witnesses, and it sounded like a stereo crashing to the ground.
And it certainly didn't help that the jury knew that she was alive for 2 hours before she died, indicating that if George Hughley had come to his senses, he could have gone back there, called 911, and possibly saved her life.
Still, the driving argument for the defense is that George Hughley never intended to kill. They say this was all a tragic accident, that he does not deserve a life sentence, but instead a lesser charge and a second chance.
Guilty of second-degree murder.
Just attempted murder, you know.
Sentence
manslaughter or whatever, right? What is it? Manslaughter.
Term came down. George
When
Hughley
it's
was
not
brought
intentional.
to court to hear his lawyers plead for the judge to cut in half the 26-year sentence recommended by the jury. Judge Edward Hogshire did trim it back, but by just 3 years.
The jury in this case recommended 26 years. The judge changed it to 23. Probably a small difference, but why would he do that?
It's surprising, isn't it, considering this is a woman who was beaten to death in her own bed.
We think that George was convicted of a crime inconsistent with the facts, and he received a penalty inconsistent with what the evidence would require.
There are no winners in this case.
With credit for the time that George Hughley has already served in jail, and if he gets time off for good behavior, he could be out in 18 years. And the family for Yeardley Love has put out this statement saying, "We find no joy in other sorrow. We are relieved to put this chapter behind us."
Damn.
As for George,
R.I.P.
he was incarcerated at the maximum security Augusta Correctional Center for 10 years, and has since been transferred to a prison work camp in Richmond, where he's expected to serve out the rest of his sentence. The present consensus in the media is that George had no intention of killing Yeardley, but that his 23-year sentence is still appropriate, if not lenient, and that him being drunk to any degree at the time of the murder is not an excuse, nor does it lessen the culpability of his actions to any extent. He'll be released at the age of 45, meaning he will have the second chance at life Yeardley was never afforded. You can decide for yourself whether he deserves it or not.
And when? How long?
To any extent. He'll be released at the age of, nor does it.
Wait. When did they take this photo? Did he have like time off or something? Did he get like a vacation, like a weekend out of the prison or something to spend with family? What the fuck is this?
Lessen the culpability of his actions to any extent. He'll be released at the age of 45, meaning he will have the second chance at life
45.
Yeardley was never afforded. You can decide for yourself whether he deserves it or not.
Ah, man, yeah. I don't really know much about prison sentences and like what's like what people deserve and whatnot, but I mean, goddamn, dude. How can someone be so stupid? If other criminals were just bad liars, this guy's so dumb he couldn't even lie. Yeah, he was on another level of stupid. I don't think I've ever watched an interrogation quite like this. This man outright confessed to everything without even knowing it. I have also never been so annoyed by someone's use of language. True, dude. If I have to hear the word like used as a filler again, I just may explode. Yeah, don't go to a high school then, man. I can't imagine why someone would be scared or defensive after hearing their ex breaking the door, like them back into a corner. All right. Well, that was the JCS video.